And that had to be great in terms of learning all the changes and all
the best thing about that, I was lucky, but all I had to do was play rhythm guitar. I learned that from my uncles, both uncles, and I knew how to do that. And the hard part was when you had to play single lines, you had to know how to read music. That was the hardest thing to get to.
I like the story of when Peggy Lee sang with the band and you had to play Good Day.
Oh, yeah. We were in California at the Palladium, and Peggy Lee was the guest star on our radio show on a Saturday night. And they called me the week before and said, Peggy's husband, Dave Barber, is very ill. He's in the hospital, and you're going to have to play his part.
All these notes.
When she sings with the band. So I went down to the record shop and bought the record that she was going to sing.
Good Day.
It's a Good Day, and then another one, I can't think of the title. But I learned it by heart. I knew everything by heart. I had it all down. And when we played the show, boom, I played the part, perfectly. But it took me a week to learn it.
Right.
He wasn't going to count on the notes. He was going to actually
Well, just as a side thing, I interviewed Mundell Lowe, not an Italian guitarist, but good nonetheless. And he told me that of all the singers he'd ever accompanied, that he thought Peggy Lee was the best.
Oh, yeah, she was great.
And I said, what? He said, she knew time. Boom, boom, boom. She was on the 2 all the time, on the 4.
I was her husband in a show. She did a Broadway show. And we practiced we did previews for 3 months. And when we finally did it for the money, the show only lasted 5 days.
That's the thing Mike Renzi said about Peggy Lee, too. He said even at the end of her life, when they bring her to the studio in a wheelchair, and she had her head like that, but she'd still go, I love the East, I love the West.
Yeah,
he said he
and
couldn't ever think, she'd say, hi, and really, I'm okay, and then I love the East, boom, I love the West.
Would you, speaking of incapacitation, you were here 1 year with Rosemary Clooney, whom you had a long association with.
We all worked with her.
Hi, Martin. How you doing? Good. I'm going to get to you, okay?
He dated Rosemary Clooney.
You also played with Benny Goodman. In things I've read and seen from you, you're always very complimentary about Benny Goodman.
He was my hero.
Which is totally contrary to any other human being I've ever known who's known him. Okay, they thought he was an SOB. All right, and I just wanted to know if you ever saw that side.
Well, I saw this happen because I always kept my mouth shut. And when I worked with Benny and we did a rehearsal somewhere, and there was always a smart aleck in the band, and asking crazy questions, and they didn't realize that Benny Goodman did what we're doing now 20 years ago, the same thing. He and Artie Shaw were doing recordings. That's what we were doing. And so I did a lot of recording dates. Every day, three recording dates. Right. And I kept my mouth shut. He knew what I was doing. But I never said a word to him.
Well, that you stayed out of trouble.
That was the secret.
Yes. Somebody said to me, one of his men, may have been Mundell, because he played with him for a while too, Red Norvo.
Oh, everybody.
And he said that they were rehearsing at his house, and and they're talking, and his wife walks into the room, and he says, "Fellas, I'd like to introduce you to." And one of the guys says, "Mary, I'd like to introduce you to Mary." Right?
Well, he did that with the trumpet player, He said, now, Mr. Trumpet Player, he's going to play a solo. I got to tell you a funny story. We did a 38th anniversary concert at Carnegie Hall with a big band and a small group, Benny Goodman. Cleo Lane was going to sing the second number. We played an overture, and we said, now, as soon as we finished the overture, her husband, which was Johnny Dankworth, was going to take over and conduct us. So we finished the first number, and now we play the introduction for Cleo Lane. And while he's out there conducting, Cleo's coming out, and Benny Goodman's walking out with the clarinet stuck under his arm. and they bump into each other, and the clarinet gets stuck in her afro hairdo. And now we're still going boom, 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 boom. And he's pulling the clarinet out of her hair, trying to save the reed. That's all he's worried about. Well, Zoot Sims was in the bed. He was on the floor laughing. Now, all during the first number while she's singing, she finally got up and sang. Benny's over there pulling hairs out of his clarinet.
That's a great story. That's a great story. Now, you, of course, in your relatively short career next to your dad, have chronicled those things in a new book you
It's
have.
an exciting book, yes. It's
tell us
sold in
about
the tens. It's called World on a String, a musical memoir. It's co-written with my friend Joe Cosgriff, and it's a shorter version of all these stories.
Now, let me ask you something. When you did it, did he tape you? Did he ask you questions? He taped you, and then he edited it?
He wrote down, he actually interviewed him. The chapter on him is really great because he actually went out to Jersey and spent time with it because he won't tell anything to me. But if you get him on a good day, he'll talk to anybody.
Right.
So Joe got a really good explanation of being in the war and then post-war and into Vaughan Monroe and all those things. So really, it's a nice history of him and that first 25 years of him and my mom and things like that. But then he would write questions, and I would literally just talk into a tape machine and make a CD and send it to him. And then he would write things out and then give them back to me, and I would look at them, and then I would make corrections and things like that. So,
Yeah, so
I'm working on a book based on this weekend.
yeah, is that right? What's
the title?
No Car Day.
Touche. You have to write one called Mackinac Island, known for fudge and horse manure. Do not get them mixed up. That's all right. Martin, how's it been living with these introverts all your life?
Oh, it's been a dream. Read that part in the book. Am I in the book?
You're in the book.
Oh, I got to read it then.
Yeah.
See, we don't get to see you play. You did not obviously didn't play guitar. You played bass, but isn't a non-fretted instrument basically more difficult to play than a fretted instrument? All things being equal.
Well,
the frets help you along, don't they?
Yeah, well, you got those dots on you.
No, I don't.
No dots. Stuckats, no dots, all right?
I just learned by ear and traveling with him and listening to Milt Hinton and George Vivier.
Good people to listen to.
Yeah. So I just picked it up by ear, and he taught me
Slam
the chords.
Stewart, you
Slam
stayed at our
Stewart.
Slam Stewart stayed at the
Yeah,
house.
all great mentors, yeah. And you have any desire? You've made a couple of records on your own.
I made one with Ray Kennedy and my father.
Yeah.
Called Triple Play. That was it.
you know, the best story about that he told, I said to him once, we asked you what the greatest hit record, you've made so many records, and when did you ever know you were making a hit? But you knew when you made the hit with Vaughan Monroe.
Ballerina?
No, Ghost Riders.
Ghost Riders in the Sky, right.
Now, where did you play it the first night?
We were here.
In Detroit.
Yeah, in Detroit. We were on the road doing one-nighters, and Charlie Greon from RCA Victor came over with a song. He said, this is a song that's going to be played in a movie, and I have a copy if you want to record it. And Vaughn said, let's go record it. We went to the Wrigley Building in Chicago with Don Costa. And Don Costa was our arranger. He played a guitar, and I played. We both played. Zoom, da-da-lum, da-da-lum, da-da-da-da-da-lum, one of those things. Well, the next night we had a one-nighter in Detroit. And we had to play it 3 times. The people went bananas.
Played 3 times in a row. The place, they wouldn't let him stop playing
They went bananas. You couldn't dance to that. That's true.
You are 88. The job of playing guitar is a very rigorous one for the digits.
He never bought a guitar in his life.
That wasn't the question.
It's not the question.
See, this is how it gets started. You're 88. You never bought a guitar. Those rotten kids, jerk. How did that come out all of a sudden? This man is filled with anger. It's the angriest 88-year-old.
Still seething.
Hey, rotten kids.
Okay.
Try again.
Okay.
About when you drive past the old college, what does he say?
Huh? Oh, yeah, whenever we go by University of Tampa, we drive on 75. We're going to Orlando, and he goes, that's where I went to
Minarets.
school for 3 semesters, and he always says, pull over, see if I can get my money back.
I tell a story about when we came to New Orleans. We actually played with Marsalis in New Orleans. I was playing there with Zoot Sims, and Marsalis was playing the piano in the lobby all by himself. And we got to know each other because we were there for 3 weeks. And on an off night, I got a call from Lionel Hampton. He said, I'm coming down to play on Monday night. I know it's your off night, so you think you and Zoot can make it with me? I said, sure. He said, you know any piano players down there? I said, yeah, Marsalis. So we all got together, and Al Hurt was Al Hurt could only play 1 or 2 numbers, and he had to run to another gig. So Lionel said, there goes Al Hurt, and everybody's applauding, and they said, but we have in this place Zoot Sims, and Zoot walked out, and the people went bananas.
Sue was of the monosyllable, you know. I walked into a club one night, and he was playing soprano saxophone. I'd never seen him play soprano. I always see him play tenor. So I had him on the show the next day, and I'm giving him this cerebral question. And I said, so, Zoot, in your later years, have you kind of, emigrated and migrated to the soprano, and there's a different thing? And he says, my tenor's in the shop.
John, John was going to, where were you going, to Tampa?
I was in Tampa, yeah.
And you had a week off.
I had a week off, and so I came in on Friday, and I brought my guitar and I played, and then I had the Monday off, and we had Monday off just to go around New Orleans, and so but I slept in, I finally was in a bed as opposed to a bunk, and so I was sleeping in the bed, and we were rooming together, and I had the covers over my head, and I heard him in the other bed. He was going higher, higher, lower, lower, and I was going, what's going on? So I was going, oh boy, I got to figure this one out, and so I, as I'm under the covers, I hear higher, higher, lower, lower. I figure, well, I'll look out and see what's going on. I'll figure this, this is why my mother sent me here, And I hear higher, higher, lower. So I look out and I see him. He's in the other bed and he's got the covers up to just under his nose. And I look across the room and he was watching The Price is Right on mute.
You can't make this stuff up, folks. No.
I know. It's tough life. I'll tell you, it's tough.
Many people might not know about Les Paul. He was at the Smithsonian one day, and they had Q&A, and I knew the answer to this question, but I thought I'd ask it. About his right arm. Do you know about that?
He had an accident with his car, and his fingers were all crooked, So he made it so he could play a certain chord.
He should play a 13th, so the pinky was
You need one out
they
here.
pinned
You
the
need your
pinky
out here, see?
But you also had, as I understand it, because
The elbow.
Yes,
He held the guitar. So
he
he should
shattered.
get the guitar.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
they pinned the elbow. So he said, "Well,